It seems people really like useless facts and small details that don't really matter when it comes to video games. Well, today I have 15 useless facts and hidden details for The Witcher 3. So like usual, this video will contain nothing of value and you will learn nothing. What is really odd is that in White Orchard, the sun actually rises in the northwest and sets in the southeast, which is not only the exact opposite of real life, but it's also the exact opposite of every other location in The Witcher 3. This is a small detail that commonly goes unnoticed. I mean, who on God's green earth is just staring at the sun? It's just a very odd design choice. However, the reason that it's like this is because the lighting wasn't very good with the way the map was originally designed, so they ended up rotating it about 120 degrees. Or at least that's the general consensus, as the developers haven't actually made any statements on this. However, the official physical map for The Witcher 3 does show White Orchard being located south of Vizima, rather than northeast of Vizima like it's supposed to be. So that may be the reason why. Or perhaps it is just a deliberate design choice to mask a hidden Easter egg. Or maybe they just did it for kicks and giggles. But what is really interesting is the cats in The Witcher 3 are often ignored by most people since they just growl and hiss at you as you walk by. But why exactly do these cats hate Witchers? Well, it has to do with magic. When you bring Uma back to Kaer Morhen during the main story, Yennefer will ask you to find the magic disturbance so she can finish building her megascope. And she'll give you a pro-testicle tickler in order to find it. However, you can actually take this with you anywhere you go, and if you pull it out near a cat, it will actually go off as you get closer, and Geralt's voice lines for the quest will even trigger.
Ah, there you are. Getting warmer. Warmer. Hot.
The reason for this is because alongside dragons, cats can absorb magic power. Now Triss is obviously the best romance option in The Witcher 3, but her current residence in Novigrad is a total dump. I mean, not only is it located in the worst part of Novigrad, but the entire building is tilted because of the weak foundation and tunnels underneath it. When you go inside, you can just feel how bad this tilt is, and it makes you wonder, how does Triss get any sleep? Well, on the top floor, you can find Triss's bedroom, and you can actually see that she uses boxes and pieces of wood to level out her mattress. She may be hunted by witch hunters and forced into hiding out in ghetto unstable buildings, but this redheaded queen still needs her beauty sleep. We all know about our favorite Troberits, Priscilla, also known as Dandelion's Koviri niece, sister, and girlfriend. Now, Priscilla may not have a very big role in The Witcher 3, but CD Projekt Red didn't skimp when it came to the little details. Early on in the Novigrad story, Priscilla can be found inside her room at the Kingfisher Inn. Occasionally, you can find her standing in front of a mirror, practicing her bow and curtsy, as well as fiddling with her hair and checking her outfit. This is because Priscilla is a performer, and a performer always needs to look her best. And for being such a minor character, the developers sure gave Priscilla the right amount of attention to detail, because there is a side quest called Carnal Sins where Priscilla gets attacked by what we eventually identify as a higher vampire. After the quest, you can visit the hospital and try to talk to Priscilla, and she will only be able to muster a few words. But when she speaks, she has a slight whistle in her voice. This is because of the open wound in her throat.
Sorry, Geralt. My throat's still quiet.
Say no more. Get well soon.
During the Hearts of Stone DLC, at the end of the main story, you'll receive an optional objective to go to Shani's house to say goodbye. This will start a new section of the quest where you break into the Oxenfurt University and meet with a professor who will give you some information about Gonthar O'Dim. Now, this professor actually created the same pentagram that you see in Olgierd's memories. And if you go ahead and extinguish all of the candles around the pentagram, you can hear an unknown demon being released into the world. During the side quest for Kiera called Tower Full of Mice, you make your way up the haunted tower within the cursed Fyke Isle. At the top of the tower, you will see a spirit who will send you to find her lover Graham. When you talk to Graham inside his house, you can see a tied noose hanging in the background, which implies that Graham was about to commit the 13th reason, because he couldn't bear to live without his beloved Annabelle. One small detail that not many people know you can do is that you can actually pet your horse. If you approach your horse from the side and hold the jump button, you will actually pet Roach like the good girl she is. Approaching her from the other side will even play a completely different petting animation as well. If this is something you're just now discovering, make sure you pet Roach every second you get to make up for all the lost time. She definitely deserves it. The Witcher 3 has a total of 3 endings, not 36 like some of those people try to mislead unaware players into believing. It's stuff like that which sets unrealistic expectations and inevitable disappointment. But what isn't disappointing is the 3 endings that the main story does have. However, the Ciri Empress ending is the one that is commonly forgotten and overlooked despite having the most substance. And I think it's a very underrated choice, as you get to explore White Orchard during the winter and even has its own side content. During this ending, Geralt and the player both have no idea that Ciri is leaving the path today to become the heir to the Nilfgaardian Empire, but the both of you go for a walk and hunt together in White Orchard. And during this time, you can actually see that Ciri's makeup is a bit smudged way before she reveals that she's leaving the path, showing that she has been crying. This is some amazing and totally unnecessary attention to detail, but CD Projekt Red has always been good at visual storytelling. And when I said I wanted to give Ciri black tears, this is not what I meant. During the Blood and Wine DLC, there is a side quest called the Warble of a Smitten Knight, where you help a love-struck knight find out what's wrong with his lady love, and eventually lift her curse, all while participating in the Toussaint Knights tourney as a cover. Now, you don't actually have to finish the tournament for this quest, but if you do decide to finish the tournament and end up winning, not only do you get a pretty cool sword among some other rewards, you also get a fangirl. Winning the tournament will cause this lovely fangirl to wait outside of your tent and then follow you around everywhere you go. And don't worry, she won't follow you outside of the tourney grounds, but as long as you're within the tourney grounds, she will also clap and cheer for you, as you are the tournament champion. And for whatever reason, you are allowed to give her the wife beating of a lifetime with total impunity. But some people might not know what happens to Lady Vivienne once her curse is lifted and leaves Toussaint. If you use the Oriole egg to lift her curse, she will leave Toussaint and explore the world with the little time she has left. After you finish the main story of Blood and Wine, you can actually find her in Novigrad by one of the docks. And if you talk to her, she will give you a feather and tell you that she is heading to the Skellig Isles. 1 week after talking to Vivienne, you can find her in the Cairtrol the Harbor, where she will remain for the next 7 years before suddenly dropping dead. But CD Projekt Red actually went out of their way to give her a highly detailed schedule that makes her truly seem like part of the settlement. She'll end up taking residence inside Yennefer's old room in the harbor, and you can find her in different locations doing a variety of different activities. She'll be outside the innkeep enjoying the Skellig sun. She will also start chasing a butterfly and will even catch it and let it go. You can also see Vivienne pull out a handkerchief and wipe her face with it. She can allegedly do a bunch of other stuff like reading books and going up to the bridge, but every source I found achieved this via mods or console commands and were not actually patient enough to wait for her to show up naturally. I followed her around for 3 hours straight and she only went back and forth between the butterfly and the handkerchief. Now, I've talked about this next quest a lot, so I'll keep the introduction short. There's a side quest in Blood and Wine called Equine Phantoms, where you have to get high and start tripping balls and talk to your horse to find what kind of specter has been haunting the hermit who lives here. Like I said, this drug lets you talk to Roach, but it also lets you talk to other animals as well. You can approach the cow, and it will actually speak in the Nilfgaardian language. The cats will tell you to sod off, and the wolf behind the house will ask you about Zerrikania.
Excuse me.
Leave me alone, darn it.
You've been to Zerrikania? Oh, fear. Have you beaten her?
One detail in The Witcher 3 that I absolutely love is that Geralt and Ciri never actually refer to each other as father and daughter, but they do refer to each other as father and daughter behind each other's backs. This is because they both know that they are not actually father and daughter, but they both prefer it if others perceive their relationship in that way.
My, you're brave. My father can even do that.
Mine could do a lot more.
This sentiment is also portrayed in a different way. When you take Ciri to the Sabbath to avenge Vesemir, when arguing who takes on Imlerith and who takes on the Crones, Ciri says she's just as good of a fighter as Geralt is, even though Ciri knows she's not as good of a fighter. And Geralt even corrects her and sends her after the Crones.
Imlerith's a bigger threat than the Crones. I should face him.
I'm no worse a fighter than you.
We both know that's not true. Listen to me this once.
But...
No buts.
Fine.
I will also play the same clip from earlier where Ciri even admits that Geralt is a much better fighter.
My, you're brave. My father can even do that.
Mine could do a lot more.
The consistent writing for these characters is truly impressive. Once you arrive in Skellig to meet with Yennefer, you'll both attend a wake in order to steal a mask from Ermion. While making your way into his quarters, you'll find a room full of taxidermy animals, which is Yennefer's absolute wet dream. But when you touch the door, you'll trigger a booby trap and start hallucinating, where the taxidermy animals will charge at you one by one. Now, it's not revealed until afterwards that this is just a hallucination, and that Yennefer had to use a spell to calm you down. But during this fight with the non-existent animals, you can actually hear Yennefer shout some of her combat voice lines.
That's one less.
Now this is just a simple programming error, but I just like to imagine Yennefer cheering for Geralt from the side as he flails around with his sword like a complete buffoon, before deciding enough is enough and calming him down with a spell. I mean, let's be honest, that's totally something Yennefer would do. And for the last hidden detail, back when the current gen update for The Witcher 3 released not too long ago, they added a brand new signpost in Velen that takes you to the castle courtyard in Crow's Perch. This is something that people wanted for a very long time, as running all the way up to the castle every time you want to sell your loot would get extremely tedious. However, this sign only becomes available after you complete the main story quests that take place in Velen and finish the side quest where you help the Bloody Baron reunite with his wife in the Crookback Bog. But before completing those quests, you can see that a peasant is actually building the signpost that would soon be erected harder than me when I look at Ceres. This is amazing and yet totally unnecessary attention to detail that most people don't even notice. And if I'm being honest, people wouldn't even care if this detail wasn't in the game to begin with. Anyways, that was 15 useless facts and hidden details in The Witcher 3. If you want to see more RPG related content, then make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video.